Are you struggling to network in today's digital and online world? And how do you create vast networks and deep connections? Join me today as I talk to Cameron Toth and Steve Spiro as we talk all about how I create master connections and networks on the Fanny Dunagan Show. Hello, everyone. My name is Fanny Dunagan. Welcome to my live show. I am coming to you live from Facebook and YouTube and my favorite of all, LinkedIn. So thank you for tuning in this week. Every week on Thursdays at 4, I chat with industry leaders, content creators, and just interesting, fascinating people that all lead with their heart. And we have discussions about how they create things and how they make a difference in the world. So thank you for joining me. And thank you to all those that are tuning in. Let me know where you are tuning in from. And also, please share with people, what is your expertise? Let people know what you do in the comments below of the show. Use this opportunity to network and build your community. After all, today's show is going to be all around networking and creating deep connections with people and building an online community. So let's see who is on. I saw someone in here that I have not seen in, I think, almost 10 years. Is that right, Dawn? Where are you? I saw your post here. You are tuning in all the way from British Virgin Isles. And there you are, Dawn. How are you? This is so good to see you out there. Thank you for joining us. This just shows how small this world is, right? And we have Cameron, one of our guests in the audience, as well as Steve Spiro. They will be joining me very, very soon. And Yolanda, oh, always great to see you in here. I saw Neil as well. Welcome, Neil Israel. For those of you that want animated stories and illustrations done, you have to connect with Neil Israel. He is the co-founder of Sketchology, who tells stories through animation. So it's a great way to explain especially complex things and in simple forms. So make sure you connect with Neil Israel, everyone. And Brian Morrison is in the house. So many people. Greg Hawks, welcome, welcome. Somewhere between Houston and the restaurant at the end of the universe. Love it, Greg. So thank you for tuning in, everyone. This week, because this show is going to be all around building a network and connections, I challenge all of you in the comments to connect with at least 5 new people. My audience are simply amazing. They're here to do good. They have good intentions, and they're all professionals. So make sure you connect with people in the audience, tell people what you do and the value that you offer, and let's build an online community right here. And then I want to give a special shout out to my community manager of the show, Miss Ann Small. How are you?
Very good. Excited for today.
Awesome. This is going to be a fun show. So make sure you all connect with Ann Small. She manages the community and comments of this show, and she will make sure that I don't miss any questions and address whatever you have to ask. So make sure you gather all your networking questions and start posting them, because we're going to ask that of our guests later. Thank you, Ann. Okay. So this week's content tip of the week is all around hashtags and how you can use hashtags for networking. So a lot of times we use hashtags for our content to illustrate what topic we're talking about. And so people that follow that hashtag can then, our content can then pop up on their feed. But on the reverse side of that is if you are an HR professional and you type into the search bar hashtag human resources, you can see all the other people that are posting about human resource topics. And so you can start to network and meet and engage and comment on other people's feeds that are in this case, the HR world and the HR industry. Or you could do hashtag marketing if you're a marketing executive or professional, and search up everyone that posts with that hashtag marketing, and see what other marketing professionals that you meet. Or you can ask yourself, who are your target clients and your target audience, and whatever industry they might be in. Maybe it's hashtag insurance, hashtag banking, hashtag technology, hashtag engineering, hashtag project management. Whatever topic you're interested in, type that hashtag into the subject line, and then start to look for the consistent content creators that create with that hashtag. And if that's something that is of interest to you as well, or is your, in your target audience or client, then those are the people that you want to start engaging with, start connecting, start following, create a rapport with them, comment on their feeds, message them, and build a relationship with them. And that's how you can use hashtags to build connections and your network. So that's my content tip of the week. Okay, and the next thing on the agenda is my quote of the week. Every week I like to share a quote that inspires me, a quote that I think will help you, the audience, maybe shift your mindset a little, or maybe motivate you to move in a certain direction. And again, because this week is all around networking, my quote is around networking. And it is from a wonderful New York Times author called Keith Ferrazzi. And the quote is, when it comes to networking, have the audacity to ask and then follow up with generosity. I'm going to say that again. Have the audacity to ask and follow up with generosity. So what does that mean? I want to tell a quick story that he uses. So Keith Ferrazzi is now a New York Times bestseller, but he used to be the youngest CMO of Deloitte Consulting. And the reason he got that job was because when he was just a fresh graduate, he got into, I think, an internship with Deloitte, and he had the audacity to speak to the head of Deloitte Consulting at a networking event and asked him what he wants his legacy as the head of Deloitte to be. And as a result of that, he said he wanted to be able to compete on the same level as the McKinseys of the world and the big consulting firms of the world. So then Keith, this junior analyst, then takes the initiative to go out there and research how all these other consulting firms are doing marketing. And he gets a job there. Long story short, he ends up being the youngest CMO at the age of 32 to Deloitte Consulting. So he had the audacity to ask for something, and then he followed that up by being generous and giving free research and free advice. And over time, he got that job, and then he moved along in his career at Deloitte. So I thought that's a wonderful story to illustrate, again, have the audacity to ask. Sometimes it's just about asking. So have the audacity to ask and then follow up with generosity. I can hear my husband like sneezing in the background over and over. Do you guys hear that? This is a live show right here, folks. Well, let's get to the show. And this week, as I said, we are going to talk all about networking and making connections. Today's topic is how I create master connections and networks. So please join me in welcoming Cameron Toth and Steve Spiro. Welcome, guys. How's it going?
Oh, it's amazing.
Awesome. I am so excited for this show. You guys bring this extra energy. I think because you have this networking, let's go vibe. I love it. So, Cameron, please actually, I have your bio. So let me read this real quick because you have achieved a bunch of stuff all over your career. But at the same time, over the last year, you have just kind of exploded online. So Cameron Toth is the host and founder of BizDev Live, which we're going to talk a little bit more about. He also founded Toth Event Staffing in 2011, which is a hospitality company providing staff to caterers, cafeterias, and catering events in Westchester, New York, and New York City. We got some New Yorker in the house. And but BizDev Live was founded in 2020, last year, amidst a pandemic. But this is where he's taken his entrepreneurship experience and combined it with his passion for helping young people and business-minded professionals. And it's his mission in life to increase access to education and opportunity for all people. He also serves on the board of soundbusiness.org, involved with the organization since 1996, where he interned with his mentor and role model, Charles Thompson. And now they provide college and career guidance programs for high school students, providing a model that promotes good choices and education through peer-to-peer management. Wow. Thank you, Cameron. And that's Cameron right there.
My pleasure.
Able to be in the presence with this man.
Welcome. Yes. And then Steve, you're not so, you have a very full bio as well. Steve started his first company right out of college in advertising, and he holds a 4th degree black belt in karate and 1st degree in jiu-jitsu. I think if we have time, we're going to make Steve do a demo for us. Having his own karate studio, he contributes much of his success to a strong work ethic, a can-do, never-quit attitude, discipline, integrity, and fearlessness that he's cultivated in the martial arts. He's also a master connector with over 17,000 contacts in his phone. Does the phone hold that many?
Apple's upset with me about it, but yes.
Wow. And over 12,000 connections on LinkedIn. He's eventually pivoted from advertising into technology and now consulting. Big on self-development, loves to inspire people to get out of their comfort zone through speaking engagements, coaching, and mentoring. Wow. Thank you. Thank you both. Is there anything I missed from the bio?
I think Brian Morrison wants to hear the BizDev theme song, so we'll get that going a little bit. We'll get some of that before we get out of here. Yeah,
we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll have some entertainment. Are you gonna like DJ?
Yep, we'll get the sound effects going. We'll drop the bombs, the whole thing. I just want to shout out everybody in the comments. Jihan, G's in the house. Thanks for shouting us out. Yolanda, so many people checking in. Anne's rocking the community down there.
Yeah. Oh, Brian's missing the music. Yes. Brian, are you saying I now need a DJ for the show?
we're gonna get it going. We're gonna get it going before we get out of here.
Awesome. Well, let's dive right into it. Steve, you are a self-proclaimed shy and introverted person that started off, well, quiet, I guess. And now you are a master connector. How did that happen? Tell me a little bit about your journey.
Well, you read my bio, right? So, but earlier on, picked on, bullied, and also learning disabled, dyslexic. So I guess for whatever reason, I just I stayed in the shell in my box and realized that maybe the creative side could be for me, and I could do some stuff and always felt sort of I felt good about what I did, but always felt like something was missing. And had a very illustrious career in the advertising industry through a good friend that I'd met through a friend in advertising. I was introduced to a very successful entrepreneur who took a mentoring role with me and got me out of my shell, helped me, got me into books and audios and networking. And so the journey began. And initially, he challenged me. He challenged me in a lot of ways. But I felt good about it. It's like, I like to see this, right? I put on some weight. I've taken it off, but I put on weight for a while, and I could sit in front of the TV and I could eat a whole pint, like almost every night, of Buddy Buchanan Haagen-Dazs ice cream. I really can. And it tastes so good, but afterwards, so horrible, right? And to me, living in my comfort zone, it felt good, but afterwards it wasn't feeling that good. And so when I got out of my comfort zone, I felt really good. I felt better. I felt, instead of like, how you feel after the workout, right? You feel really good after the workout, right? Then endorphins. I started to initially just, meeting people randomly. I literally I made a goal that I would convert 2 total strangers into new friends. And that's what I wound up doing. And, I missed the goal. This is prior to the pandemic. I was, goal was 3 perfect strangers to convert them into new friends, and missed the goal. It was only average about 2 a day that I was doing. But through that and growing on LinkedIn, it's amazing to be able to connect with a lot of people and get out of my comfort zone. And I love, my motto is there's danger in the comfort zone. And that's how I try my life.
Do you find that it's a matter of mindset and just setting your intention that you're going to do this? Or do you find it's a matter of like, you have certain tactics and things and setting goals and all that? Like what portion of it is it, or is it one versus the other when it comes to going from being shy to like a master networker?
I think initially it was very tactical, right? And very on purpose, very tactical. And then, kind of like a lot of my parallels in life and business parallel the martial arts, right? So initially when you learn how to throw a reverse punch, right, it's very mechanical. And eventually you learn, you just do it. You don't have to think about it. And eventually, it just becomes sort of second nature. So that's kind of how it went with me with networking, right? And also what it really changed when my heart changed and I became others focused, and I really wanted to serve other people and help and be and add value to other people. that's really when it became really almost became to me, it's selfish if I'm not reaching out. That's how I feel now.
Wow. Yeah. Wise words for sure. I mean, it's like that quote, right? It's you reach out to them, but then you share in your generosity and sharing, creating value. Now, Cameron, you came from the event industry, right? I mean,
Correct.
Walk me through a bit about how when the pandemic hit, obviously like everyone in the events industry was impacted. And what made you kind of work on creating this online brand and this networking whole community that you've built?
Yeah, so it's been a journey. I have a hospitality company that I started in 2011. It was a journey getting there. It really starts, you mentioned soundbusiness.org. I joined that back in high school, 1996. And I was joining that at a time, and it's a college career preparatory program. I got involved in it because a guidance counselor sent me over there. I was a DJ in high school, so I was DJing R&B, reggae, and hip hop. So Brian, who was looking for the music, this has been a lifelong thing, right? I love music. I love incorporating it into what I do. It's something that I think from a pedagogical standpoint, dropping the big word there, but the idea that, it's brain friendly in this world where we're all kind of zoomed out. It is one of those things that you can really break things up. Your intro incorporates music, right, Fanny? It is one of those things that it sets things apart when you're able to bring the music in. We had one of Steve's guest that was on my show, Biz Dev Live, the other day, and we were talking about the importance of music in the movie. So I have a soundtrack in my life, and it starts with that kind of time in my life when I was in high school, because that was like the drama tension building music as I failed to graduate high school, had a child at 19. People were telling me college is important. I was in this college and career preparatory program, but because I wasn't looking for mentorship, you mentioned that quote before, be audacious, go out there and ask, don't be afraid, give yourself permission to go out and seek those resources. I wasn't mature. I didn't have that guidance. I was, raised my father. I was basically a single child with my father. My mother was out on the West Coast with my siblings, and he was doing it all on his own. Gave me a great love of books, but that push, that direction wasn't there. So I wasn't connecting the moment to 20 years from now. And so I'm really driven now in everything that I do to do that for younger people, for business owners that, I started my business in 2011. I made a lot of mistakes. I started as a DBA and everything was attached to my social security number. I didn't set it apart. Well, as I learned my lesson there, 2015, I incorporated, became an S Corp. That's played out huge as we went into the pandemic, and I was able to really pivot and be financially safe because I was able to apply for the PPP program. We have a large amount of staff, so it was very applicable for us to receive money for salaries, able to pay myself and basically have that money forgiven because of the corporate structure. So, entrepreneurship has so many challenges. Why, be challenged when you don't have to? So when I came to this moment of pivot last year in 2020, I was like, what do I do? Because obviously all live events were canceled. I have a company that provides waiters and bartenders and chefs and kitchen assistants. And my happy place, my place. So I didn't start up the folding napkins and table design company. My happy place is around providing that kind of guidance. I've been doing it a long time with the nonprofit, stayed involved with that the whole time. And my happy place, like when I have a waiter, a bartender, or kitchen assistant, or chef across from me, is when we're talking about career and how can I get them to the next step. And so I had that moment of pivot. I was realizing how important video was. We've had that conversation, right, Fanny? And so I said, yes, I got to do something here. I want to do something that provides opportunity and education to people. So that's how Biz Dev Live was born. And Biz Dev, the name comes from Gary Vee, who I like so much, who said Biz Dev a lot. I was going up live. I didn't want to do the post-production. Biz Dev Live, done. And that's what it's all about.
I love it. Yeah, because you go live across, Facebook as well as YouTube, right?
Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter through Periscope. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And was it scary? Like, how did you even know how to pivot or where to pivot? I guess how we can always do research and look it up, right? But like, where did you know, how did you know where to go with it, with your brand?
Well, it was really interesting. And this plays into the Master Connection series that me and Steve started. So as Steve got and I'll let him tell the piece of it, in terms of his side of it, but I was getting basically experience and some push from this organization that me and Steve are both in called Master Networks. And so I joined that in December of 2019 fortuitously. And they immediately, when things changed and we couldn't be meeting in person, immediately pivoted to virtual meetings. And that combined with some of the leadership in the organization doing Facebook Lives got me into sort of like, oh, wow, okay, I can go live on Facebook. And this is a little bit less intimidating than doing on a full-on production where I have to edit and use skills that I really don't have.
Yeah.
And then I was seeing some things. I'll let Steve tell his side of the story as he got LinkedIn Live, but I was seeing some things and I offered some advice as Steve decided to give me a phone call because he saw what I was doing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you guys decided to partner up and create this Master Connections series, right? And now it's a weekly show. And I was on it, I think 2 weeks ago, and it was so much fun. You guys, it's like, where did this idea come from, Steve, this Master Connections series?
Well, I can tell you how it started. I don't know, but I think I got to give Cameron a lot of credit on the how it took shape. But I do a lot. I do every Friday. I do Fired Up Friday video posts. It's like a 3 to 5 minute video post. What's that?
I said people have to check out the Fired Up Friday that Steve does. He does one every Friday.
I definitely enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. Get a lot of good press on it. And so I did that for a while, and I saw that there were people doing live shows, right? I don't think you and I Fanny were connected at the time, but went on live, and I'm like, okay, it's interesting. And then I kind of figured out, okay, you can go on YouTube Live, Facebook Live anytime you want, but you got to apply for LinkedIn. And so I'm like, for kicks and giggles, honestly, I was like, okay, let's go apply. Let's see what happens. And much to my surprise, 5 weeks later, I got approved. I'm like, okay, now what am I going to do? And I'm not the kind of guy that could sit in front of a camera for an hour and just speak. And I'm certainly not talented like you folks in terms of the having the ability to run interviews and so forth. I mean, I could keep a conversation going, but so I'm like, okay, so I'll this is my profile. So I'm like, so what am I going to do with this? And so I'm talking to people in my network, and obviously I admired a lot what Cameron has been doing with all the live stuff that he was doing, and I'm like, me and Cameron had a conversation, and so he didn't mention this part of the story, but we met probably close to 2 years ago, just before the pandemic hit, and we connected right away. There was definitely really good synergy amongst us, and I figured in some way somehow we'll figure out a way to collaborate somehow, some way. And so I said to Cameron, I said, I got this great tool. I don't know what the heck to do with it, right? And he's like, well, maybe we could collaborate, because I've been waiting a couple of years to be on LinkedIn Live, and we should collaborate. And I'm like, great. And so I think the first week, he said, let's invite some panelists. I think the first week we had like 6 or 7 lined up, and it's a couple people fell off, but we said, let's narrow it down to 4 panelists, so the screen is not that busy. I've been following his mentorship on this, because honestly, what we have a great partnership. I bring the talent. I kind of come up with the topics. He's been able to orchestrate a really fun show with music and the effects and all that stuff is way outside my comfort zone. But he's been making us look really, really good. So I really give him a lot of the credit. So
that really is the power of networking and collaborations, right? Sometimes it's about finding somebody that does something totally different from you, and then you guys become complements to each other, isn't it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we put it together. Steve gave me the call, and I was excited. I was like, "Hey, this LinkedIn Live thing is legit." I see Fanny Dunagan making a splash here. I got to follow in the footsteps because Fanny Dunagan is the OG LinkedIn queen here and does live better than anybody does it. And so I took some of what I saw you doing. I took what Master Networks, what I had seen them doing in terms of bringing members of their community online and the attention that would gather. And so for folks that are thinking about, oh, I want to put together a show, this is a great way, right? So you pull people together by each person bringing their following and their community with them to the show. That's going to garner a little bit more interest. Make sure it's at a regular time, same bat channel. So for the consistency piece of it, but that is something that can really drive energy to the show. And so when me and Steve were talking, I was like, hey, why don't we utilize this? Because I think it's, originally Steve was like, oh, let's just go back and, forth between me and you. And I was like, I don't know how interesting that's going to be week to week. I've seen other people do that. And I like to think of myself as an interesting individual, but I don't think I'm that interesting in the sense of being able to carry something or even having the energy. I know you guys are, maybe some people say, oh, he's high energy, but having that energy to really bring the value, because that's what, at the end of the day, right, Fanny? I mean, it's always about bringing value. So one of the things that's been really amazing about this partnership is, sometimes you partner up with somebody, you don't know what it's going to be. Is the other person going to carry their weight? Steve brings it. He brings these amazing people to our show that they just drive incredible value. They're so fun to have on the show. They bring incredible value to the comment section. We get incredible engagement from the audience. Everybody has fun in the comment section, just like you guys are doing right now with Ann Small, who's amazing in the comment section. I see Neil and Mike Rochelle.
And Sharon's always there. Love it.
Yeah.
Yolanda, yes.
So everybody going crazy. That's the fun of the show. I mean, really, I think we bring an incredible amount of value because Steve brings it, and I'm trying to do, fun graphics and all that stuff, but it's bringing the community together and really just letting that place in the comments exist. That's really the value of the show.
It really is. I mean, so much, I think, of networking is just learning from each other and then finding ways to say, okay, well, Cameron, you're great at this. Steve, you're great at this. And I'm good at this. And then like doing collabs and really finding great partnerships. Whether you end up working together is another thing, but even just, I think, especially in today's digital networking world, collaborations. I mean, YouTube content creators are always saying like collaboration is the number one way to increase your community, your network, and your audience. So definitely that. And let us know in the comments below any questions that you have when it comes to starting a series on whether it's a live show or just a content creation series online, and as well as building networks. Let us know in the comments.
I see a question from Ann Small. She says, Cameron, don't you go live on LinkedIn 5 days a week? And I wish. LinkedIn will not let me into the LinkedIn Live. I get to go on lives on Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, courtesy of the master connector, Steve Spiro, but LinkedIn will not let me in. They will not let me in. So I go live on YouTube.
Be persistent. Persistency wins too. Right. It's not just audacity, it's persistence.
That's right. It's so true.
That one thing that allowed him to be on my show with us, doing this collaboration together. So in a way, I'm blessed that LinkedIn didn't let him on.
So when it comes to business development and connections, I mean, Cameron, you've kind of created this, speaking of series called Biz Dev Live. Yeah. Tell us about that.
So,
and by the way, everyone, if you haven't already done so, make sure you connect with Steve as well as Cameron. I pulled up their profile just now, so make sure you look out for them there.
So Biz Dev Live is all about bringing entrepreneurs and small business owners to other entrepreneurs and small business owners. And I go live on YouTube, as mentioned, and Facebook and Periscope 5 days a week, usually with an interview. We have amazing interviews sometimes. And especially when I was starting out, for anybody that's starting a show, I just, created a whole bunch of content. Fanny was talking about it before, like getting those contents, just easy, plan them out in advance. It makes it easier. And then I was staring into the little black dot. I've tried to get better at speaking as I go, but the big thing is just push the darn button and go. And so now it's, I think it's 204 episodes as of today, 205 episodes as of tomorrow with the show. So get started. You'll get those numbers up. And, it's slow going, trying to get like a huge following on YouTube, unless you're some crazy engineering guy like Mark Rober, or somebody that just mastered the algorithm and does crazy weird stuff like Mr. Beast. However, if you have a niche, you can really perform well. You'll build your community. And I've taken that a step further with networking by BizDev Live. So every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, I bring the internets together to actually live in person on Zoom. And we have a lot of fun, where I really think of this place as a place to learn how to network while you actually get to network. So it's not specifically niche to an industry. It's people telling their stories. And the comments I get are, man, everybody is so interesting and you bring such great people here. I don't want to bury the thing. I don't know that everybody's more better than any other place. It's just that it is a place where we are hearing each other's stories. So you're really getting that. And that, I think, we're going to talk about networking tips later. Tell your story.
Absolutely. And why even bother? Like Steve, why even bother networking? Why even create connections? I mean, a lot of times, even before I became an entrepreneur, I was a corporate professional. I never saw the need to network. I just went ahead and, did my job, went home kind of thing. And then that's it. So why bother building a network, Steve?
Well, I mean, for me, there's number one, I think, Fanny, you resonate, right? You say, shine your light. I often say, be the light, right? If we're not connecting with people, we're keeping the light to ourselves. So that's from a personal standpoint. I just love, being able, I was on with a young lady earlier. She might show, she said she could be on tomorrow's show. But a great young lady from Colorado. And she said I inspired her. Now, I don't know if she was just being nice, but when you hear great things where you're touching people's lives, it really is rewarding. So that's one piece of it. But from a tactical standpoint, right? Look at LeBron James, right? He's got a huge network. I don't know how many followers on all the different social media platforms, but he's getting $1 billion contract or close to $1 billion, or has $1 billion contract with Nike. Not because he has a small network, because he has a large one. And so it's cliche by now, but your net worth is in direct proportion to your network, right? So the larger your network, the larger your reach, the larger your opportunities, the larger you'll be able to maybe monetize that. I know that we live in a time where with COVID, people have been displaced. Cameron's an example of that. When you have a big network, if you get displaced because of, job situation or whatnot, or maybe your business goes away, kind of the industries that we've seen that get hit hard, network, you can easily come back, right? And that's why Cameron was able to bounce back so easily. So it's tremendously valuable to have a big network for so many more reasons. And I'm sure I only just touched on a few. Yeah,
absolutely. I wanted to pull up this comment from Neil Israel, and maybe Cameron, you can speak to it. Partnership, right? It's also, I think Harvard Business School says it's the #1 way that businesses don't go out of business is because they do collaborations and partnerships. And I saw a question from Sylvia White. Maybe you can answer this, Cameron. How did you know that your connections, you two connecting and collaborating, would make for a great partnership? Because sometimes they can be duds, right? you just don't know sometimes. But did you kind of, something clicked, or what was it?
Yeah, I think
so. Cameron, it looks like you're poised to speak.
I was just going to say that, Steve reached out to me. You put this amazing quote up in the beginning: be audacious, go out and ask. And Steve was incredibly gracious to reach out to me. I was incredibly honored, and just, I mean, it felt amazing for somebody to ask. And I think that's something that, just as a side note and provide audience to the value, you want somebody to participate in your organization, step into leadership, come on your show, ask them. That's the best way to do it. And then going back to the comment from Neil, the idea that partnership is something, for a lot of entrepreneurs, they're doing it all themselves. So you think about, that's the way you get burned out. That's the way you don't grow. That's the way you don't actually move beyond yourself and actually scale up. So really would make sense that partnership is the way that you don't do that, that you actually go beyond yourself. And we certainly have done that. We've created this partnership. I didn't know what it was going to be exactly in the beginning. I don't think Steve did either, right, Steve?
Just jumped in.
And I think pretty soon after, we got started, a couple of weeks in, I immediately told Steve, I'm so happy, you're gung-ho, I see the work that you're putting in here. I was trying to do my part and make sure that, the show looked good, and that we, it was thematic, and that we were pulling pieces together, and that it was high energy, and that it was run really well in the background. But we're each bringing something amazing to it. And, even now, we have a sheet where we have the shows planned out in advance. Steve's got guests lined up. I'm kind of behind and getting some of my pieces to do. He's kind and forgiving to me because he knows it's a lot of work, but that is the partnership. It's really working together, doing your part, lending a hand when you need to. It's been amazing.
Yeah. And I'll just say this, right. And it's something I've learned in business and in life, right? You just go, you just do, you kind of, I mean, not to get, I know you're in Texas, that's the Bible Belt, right? But, God can't steer a parked car, right? You just go, and then you kind of get steered along the way. And if we just started, and worst case, if we didn't think it was working, we had a show or two and that was it. What the heck, right? And so we just moved, and it just, the more we did, the cooler it got, the better it seemed to go. And we're like, okay, this is working. So, I don't think it started out with, okay, partner, and, Cameron and I, we're partners, and, let's collaborate. And it just had been working phenomenal.
I'd like to add, because I think part of what makes, and I love being on your show, and I love just chatting with you two. And I think it's for three reasons that you guys are so successful together, at least from my point of view, is that I feel like both of you are so humble, right? You're not, and number two, you guys both are aiming to serve, right? There's very little ulterior motive. You're not trying to I don't know, get something.
We have a course to sell you for $997, and it's going to make you a billionaire tomorrow.
Right? Done. Where's my private jet?
Yeah.
And if you act now.
Yes. And then number three, ironically, I think you guys are both very great listeners. So for being a host whose role is to kind of talk, I think both of you are really good listeners. And so you let your guests talk and shine, and I think it makes for a great show. So as an outsider, that's my 2 cents.
Appreciate that.
I want to bring on this question that we saw from Braden. Either of you can answer this. If someone is recently unemployed, don't you love his graphics? If someone is recently unemployed, what should be the first thing they do networking wise?
I mean, I could take that. I mean, for sure. I mean, number one, start networking, right? I don't know the exact statistic. I think they say that 85% of all statistics are made up on the spot. And that probably was one of them, right? But they say that networking, that 85% of networking is how people get jobs, right? Very large percentage. So get going, right? Start networking, right? Go to networking meetings, right? Reach out to people on LinkedIn. Just start reaching out, and tell your story. Reaching out for a job, but reaching out and asking for advice. I think that's a better way to go. Hey, I wanted to pick your brains. I'm looking to, kind of relaunch, or I'm looking to pivot, or I'm looking to, whatever the wording is, and I'm looking for some help. Can you give me some advice? Because that's a little bit easier than saying, hey, I'm looking for a job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'd like to ask you guys, what do you think are mistakes that people are making in networking? Cameron, what are people doing wrong?
All right. Yeah, I know Steve's got some stuff on this as well, but the pitch, right? The I'm selling you something. I had somebody actually today who connected with me, and immediately it was to, I have this thing that's going to be great for your business. And I don't, there's different levels of creepy. I know women deal with another level of creepy on social media, but it's tough for me. I had a guy that was asking me, are you stressed in your business? Now, I don't know this person. I haven't developed, they haven't bothered to develop a relationship with me. They don't want to set up a time to meet with me, but they're saying, right, but this is my approach. And are you stressed in your business? Because they want to sell me something, right? And so it feels super creepy. It feels super uncomfortable. Don't sell me, meet me, understand me, get to know me. And then if I believe in what you're doing, I'm probably going to support you 1,000%. So my number one piece on the thing that people are doing wrong is they're reaching out to people just trying to sell something without even trying to make any kind of connection. And I think that's what Facebook ads are for, LinkedIn ads. That's what advertising is for. If you want to just sell your product and do your pitch, that's the place for it, not through a connection request.
Absolutely. And Steve, what about you? We have Jake Jordan in the house from Facebook. He said, so tired of the pitch first mentality. No kidding, Jake. It's beyond robotic at this point. That does make the people who actually conversate stand out, though. That's true. On the flip side, when you are genuine and providing value, then you really do stand out amongst a sea of the creeps, right? What about you, Steve? What do you think are mistakes people are making in networking?
And I'm gonna refer to some things that before COVID, when we were actually doing networking in person, but it could relate to somebody that you're speaking to on the phone. It could be if you are meeting somebody in a social distancing way, and they ask you what you do. I remember I was at a good friend of mine who we were networking buddies, and we went to this. It was sort of an event with had speakers, and then afterwards they had a the ability to mingle and to network. And we wanted to go introduce ourselves to the speaker, and the guy says, so my buddy, I won't mention his name, says, how you doing or whatever, and he said, hey, so what do you do? And about 3.5 minutes later, we're still talking about what he does. And long story short, when he was done, I said, hey, you have a business card, let's stay in touch. I didn't even tell him what I did because it just didn't make sense, right? So keep it short, right? I like if somebody asks you what you do, I might say, I'm in consulting. What about you? What do you do? I really want to know about the person. It's, to me, that's be genuine and understand what the person is, because people love to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And you're not going to get that by telling them your 30-second or 1-minute elevator pitch. I don't believe that is a good place when you're meeting people. It comes across. So a quick one, maybe it's 3 words, and then what about you? And then dig in, and then eventually they'll want to lean in and understand what you do.
Love it. And I was just summarizing what you were saying, Steve. Keep it short, get to know the person, and be genuine. So great advice there. Cameron, I mean, even with your network, right? Your biz dev network that you've built, what are some of the kind of like connection or business development tips that you would have for people?
Thank you. Yeah. So talking about things that work in COVID, pre-COVID, associations is one of the things that really helped me build my hospitality staffing business. And so I think that's something that for anybody in any industry, find the associations. I know, Fanny, you're in associations. Steve, I know he's been in associations. Associations really bring up your, especially as a young entrepreneur, as I was starting out, it brought up my stock in other people's eyes. I had a company that I had actually worked for as an employee, got fired from, and because I was in an association, they saw me in a different light and they hired me as a staffing company, as a vendor. So associations are a big deal. Get involved in leadership, whether that's, in your BNI, I'm a part of master networks, in the things that you're doing, in the companies that you're working in. Get involved in leadership. That is going to be something that helps grow you, and that's going to allow you to create those business development connections. And then this is sort of a 3-part one piece here, but know your problem that you solve, right? And understand your solution, and then make it easy for people to actually get to that solution, whether that's a link, a phone call, a form that people need to fill out. But know your problem, know your solution, have a link to solve. That's your email to somebody. That's your message. You've warmed up the connection. Hey, do you have this problem? I have this solution. This is where you go. Make the phone call to action, right?
I love it. Just to reiterate, number 1, when you're building your business and developing it, join associations. Number 2, get involved in leadership positions. And then in 3A, know the problem, understand the solution you offer, and then make it easy for people to get to your solution. Love that. Love that. Okay, folks in the audience, give it the big 3. Okay, Cameron, you got to do your musical interlude. Okay,
all right.
I say we have a little DJ session right now because we just need it.
All right, let's see if I
Go
can
for
do
it.
this here.
Do your thing.
I'm going. Here we go. Let's see. I think you got to let it in, and I'm going to push play.
I will.
Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise
you benefit.
Leadership and motivation.
Is that you singing it?
No.
Inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.
Oh my gosh. There you go. I think you need a dance party section of your show.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we try to get it going with Biz Dev Live networking. There is that going on every week. Let me get that out of here. All right, done with that.
And then Steve, you have to do a do one of your moves in your other jiu-jitsu.
I don't know how I could do that on the screen.
This has now become
the computer's going to go flying.
This is the
I was thinking about
show.
breaking the screen with a punch,
There you go. Oh, good one.
Oh, man.
Let us know your networking and connection comments and questions, and please feel free to ask them. I think I saw one from Anne. Oh, yes. She said, let me find this comment. Kevin from Facebook asked, how has networking evolved over the last 9 to 12 months? What have you seen happen with networking over the last year?
I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? It's number one, unless you're in the South or in the warmer climates, you're not seeing any networking happening up in the Northeast, at least, other than through like Zoom type of meetings. So, and I like that better. I mean, as a shy introverted guy, right? Think about it, the drama of having to get the guts up to walking around to strangers, and especially if they're like 2 or 3 or 4 clicks of people, and you got to break in and kind of start get into the conversation. That was traumatic. I had the guts. I did it. Tap people on the shoulders. I mean, all these crazy things. Now you right click a person's image and you hit chat, and you can literally message that person and say, let's have a one-on-one face-to-face on Zoom. And so that, along with, leveraging social media to meet new people also, is a great way. Between those two things, I think it's a game changer to what we are, a year ago, 6 months ago, 9 months ago.
Yeah, I'll just say this, Steve was saying it's obvious. So I think for folks like us, we've been online, we've been a part of associations or networking groups, and people have pivoted to online networking. We've kind of done away with the bad. I know for myself, I try to be intentional, spend my time in good groups that, there's ROI in terms of I'm getting to actually engage with people versus the one-to-many kind of thing, the webinar thing that I might as well be watching a YouTube video. Why am I here on this Zoom chat where people get to see my resting Zoom face, right? But the idea that
you put in there that you set aside 3 hours each week for one-on-one meetings. Elaborate on that.
And I want Steve's answer to this as well, because he's amazing, because I sort of send people to the queue. And so that queue is June. Like, I have 6 people lined up for the next, 4 months. And so if you want to get on that calendar, it's June. He manages to, and I know he's got other things that he does, and he's working, and it's crazy, but he really fits these meetings in. It's amazing. I schedule an hour and a half on Tuesday morning and Friday morning. I do it in stacks of half an hour. If anybody's unfamiliar with stacking, the nice thing about stacking, so they're coming to my Zoom room on a Tuesday or Friday, and so each meeting is in half an hour. I find that's enough time to hear somebody else's story, to urge, pull that out of them. And it's always enough time for me to share my story, whether it takes 15 minutes or 20 minutes to get their full story. I can tell my story in 5-10 minutes, whatever's we have left in that half an hour. And then the meeting ends because I got that next person coming into the room. I get to introduce that person to the other person. So I look good. I look like a connector, right?
Oh, that's a great idea.
Right. I look like somebody that knows people, right? And by, creating that introduction and having that person, that cuts that meeting off so I can move on to the next one, because I like to talk. And, it just naturally progresses to the next. So I get 3 people in, and it's amazing. There's a bit of serendipity. I was talking to somebody that was like, oh, I'm really intentional in my calendar. I only let certain people into it. I kind of open it up. I'm kind of open to meeting people. I know Steve sort of has that kind of philosophy as well. I'm open to that introduction. I want to get to know you. Want to sell me something? Let's get together and know each other, because I'm going to be a lot more apt to partner with you, collaborate with you, purchase from you if I know you. And who knows, this is the connection, right? We're only one connection away from, changing the world. So that's how I manage my calendar. I think there was an original question there that sort of got left by the wayside, but
yeah. Braden asks, by the way, for all of you, Braden's going to be on the show in a few weeks. So make sure you connect with him as well.
He'll be on our show too. He's on our calendar
there
too.
There you go. Oh, there you go. Networking right here. The
Absolutely.
Benefits of networking. Some people find networking difficult and anxiety inducing. Absolutely. I certainly felt that way. What advice would you have, Steve, to make connecting more fun?
Yeah. I mean, like I said before, if your heart, you talked about, I think pre-show, about heart, right? If you lead with your heart, you're there to genuinely want to know somebody, and my belief, and that this has taken some time, self-development, growth, personal growth. But my belief is that when I'm with somebody, or if I'm in the room, I'm bringing value, right? I that's how I believe it. So it's if you know that you have value wherever you go, then again, I think I said it before, if you're almost being selfish if you don't, reach out. So that's the attitude or mindset I have. And it's not sort of a take mindset. It's how can I give? How can it be of value for you? You go in there. I don't have any anxiety because I know about you. How can I help you? How can it be of value to you?
I have a phrase that I use around that, and that is focus out and don't focus in.
Yep.
So when you focus out, to your point, Steve, you're serving, you're just asking questions, you're listening, you're focused on that other person. When we focus in and like, oh my God, am I saying the wrong thing? Am I like dressed okay? Do I look weird? Like when we focus in, it never works. It just creates more anxiety. So focus out.
If I can expand on that, because Braden asks, what do you do to make the meeting less anxiety producing, right? This has been something I think with master networks. And by the way, Steve practiced this with me. One of the reasons I was open to that phone call and open to partnership with him is when we did have our one-on-one, he listened to me and he provided me some amazing advice. So one, I knew he was smart. He was well-read, right? And he provided something of amazing value to me. So it sort of set that up as something that I knew he could do and what he was about. He recommended to me a book called The E-Myth by Michael E. Gruber. And I now recommend it to everybody because I wish I read that book when I started my business in 2011, particularly around documenting your processes so that you could scale and, along the lines of partnering and, learning how to work with other people. It's amazing.
Yeah. And see, there you go. There's a testimony right there. Yolanda, Cameron, I appreciated the one-on-one meeting with you.
It was amazing. I mean, Yolanda's an amazing person. She's a teacher. She's so it's one of those things where it's like you get to know people's story, right? I got to know Yolanda. She got to know me. It's a great meeting. Are we going to trade money? I think we traded something a lot better than that. We traded, understanding each other and knowing that we can be partners in life. And as we pull things together and have different things going on, we can collaborate together. She may get that phone call from me. Hey, can you partner on this show with me? Can you partner in this opportunity? She may have that from me. And that's the power.
Absolutely.
Hey, I just want to mention one quick thing. I know we're up against the hour, but
yes.
One thing that I got, that I heard again, and it really helped on Cameron's BizDev Live networking on Tuesday, was lead with vulnerability. If you lead with vulnerability, you're going to break down barriers, your own vulnerability. People will open up. It really breaks down that anxiety barrier, and it also breaks it down for you. Because I found when I was hiding those vulnerabilities, that's when I was anxious. When I led with it, gone.
Yeah, and I think to clarify, like a perfect example, right? Your bio, right? You went from shy and introverted to a great networker. Right. I think I want people to always the E-Myth. Yes.
Somebody was asking, so I just throw it up on the screen.
Let me make it bigger. Hold on. There you go. Why most small businesses don't work and what to do about it. The E-Myth revisited. Thank you, Cameron. And then to your point, Steve, about lead with vulnerability. I think, but people mistaken vulnerability as I'm gonna cry and let it all out and make it a therapy session. That's not what we're talking about here.
No.
You can very professionally speak from the heart. And again, that perfect example of what you said, transitioning from introvert to master networker, that's revealing something about yourself, but at the same time, the lessons learned and then the growth that happened.
Yeah, I think it's really key with vulnerability is that you just want to remember you're not the victim of your story. You're the hero of your story. You're going through it or you went through it and you've come out of it. You're here and you're somebody that's better for it. So don't be the victim of your story. Make sure that you're not, Debbie Downer in a phone call or on a Zoom meeting. That's not what people are showing up for. I'm not saying that you can't bring heavy subjects in the room, but you want to make sure that you're going someplace positive with it. How can I help you? What advice can I give you? If I'm just there to be your therapist, I need to get paid a lot more money.
Yes. And I think that here, I usually end the show with a tip from the heart, but I think this says it all, right? Lead with vulnerability. And just like that, the hour has already gone by. Always fun. And you two just bring it every time, the energy and the thoughts. Thank you. Please stay on while I just kind of announce some upcoming events for people here. Give me one sec here while we talk about that. Speaking of associations, to Cameron's advice there, join associations to increase your network. One of the associations that I'm a part of is the Association of Business Technology Professionals. And every fourth Tuesday of the month, we feature a variety of technology leaders, CIOs, CTOs, and they share their experience with technology, with growth, with transformations. And these are leaders with ethics and with virtues. And this month, it is going to be Dick Daniels, who is the former CIO of Kaiser Permanente, and he's going to talk about career retrospective and where we should go from there. And that is the Association of Business Technology Professionals. You can get more information at abtpdfw.org. And then real quick, next week's guest is Alessa Woodry. She is a former dancer and Pilates coach, and now she goes and helps corporations with movement and stretching and relieving stress and what we call, I think, technology neck, or I don't even know all the terms, but I'm going to learn them from her. So next week, we are going to get moving and find ways to physically deal with stress and all the mental stuff that we go through from having to work from home. So please join me in that. And I want to wrap up here with these amazing guests. I want to bring Ann Small in too, because she in her right is a master networker in my eyes as well. I call her the engagement queen. So right here, guys, for the audience out there, please connect with all of us. We are here to serve. We are here to connect. Any final words, Cameron?
Fanny, you are awesome. I've taken so much value from you. And whenever I talk to people one-on-one, I mention you because I'm like, hey, lay out a LinkedIn post this way. I'm frustrated to death when I give some people the advice because it's worked so well for me and they don't take it. They keep asking these long questions that, I'm like, yes or no question, put your information in, hashtags, video. It works so well. Then tag people in it. You are the LinkedIn master, the LinkedIn queen. Thank you so much. And tremendous job. You are all over in the chats, the comments, amazing in the community. Thank you so much for having me and Steve on. We really, really appreciate it. I don't want to speak for Steve, but I know he's happy to be here as well. I know he's going to say it himself, but thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Steve, any final words or final advice?
Yeah, well, first of all, Fanny, and thank you for inviting us. We really appreciate the viewership and the audience here. Incredible people. You have an amazing show you're putting together. I know Cameron and I speak for Cameron, and we're learning and continue to learn from you.
Likewise.
When we were going to do the show, he's like, you got to go check out what Fanny's doing. You got to go check it out, like over and over and over again. He was like preaching at me, and I understand why. You have
You're checking the mail, Cameron.
But seriously, what I love about what you do is you inspire people. You and Ann have an amazing heart, and I think that lines exactly up with Cameron and I. We love helping and serving people, and we love to be the light. So, we one of the things how we end our show is we all say in unison, "Crush it," because we want to go out there and crush it and be the light. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Shine your light. Absolutely.
Right, there it is right here. So, Ann, any final words for the audience in here as engagement queen?
Yes, everyone did a great job, and plug in to watch Steve and Cameron because they do an amazing job. And I know Fridays at what time, Steve?
2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
There you go.
Yeah, the link is in the chat, everybody. Master Connection Series, March 5th, 2 p.m. The link is in the chat. You can find that networking event that I talked about. That is also in the chat. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel if you care to there as well. Thank you so much, everybody. I loved all of the activity in the chat. This is where the fun is, which is why I'm mad that LinkedIn won't let me in because I'd like to be on here every day.
LinkedIn, let Cameron in. Thank you all. Thank you for your time. Thank you to you in the audience for all your contributions and all your support. And as always, make sure you shine your light, share your message, share your gifts, share your voice with the world, and do it through video. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Cameron. Thank you, Steve. And